Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel Elearn Tech Skills. My name is Emmanuel and my job is to help you simplify programming so that you can start building your dream project as soon as possible. It's been a while I made the tutorial because I've been busy lately, but now I think I'm back. And in today's tutorial, what I want to teach is getting you started into web development. And the focus of today's tutorial is going to be on HTML, introducing you to HTML, and then from there we go to CSS, and then we'll cover JavaScript. We're also going to cover TypeScript. And if you want a more personalized class, you can reach out to me, and then we can set up a class for that. But that being said, let's get started into today's tutorial. I already taught on this channel how to, download VS Code, and that's why I don't really want to talk about it. But for those who are joining for the first time, if you could actually download VS Code from your browser just like this. Of course, the first link that is bringing is this one, and the installation process is really straightforward. Their system is also smart enough to know which OS you are on. I'm on Windows, so Windows got selected. If you're Mac, it's going to select you can select it manually as well, which is pretty cool. All right, so that being said, I already set up my environment. And basically what I did in my computer is to create a single folder that is going to house the application. So I had this set up here. So that is where all the code is going to go. So the first thing I want to show you guys how to do in this tutorial is how to create a folder structure for a web project. So the first folder I'm going to create is CSS. Of course, we're not going to start writing CSS right away, but it's good you have a proper understanding of how web project is set up. So next to that, I'm going to create a JS file, a JS folder rather. So after that, I might also create a folder for images. I'm going to call it IMG, just like that. So, and then in here, I'm going to have a file called index.html because the language I want to teach now is HTML. All right, so I want to zoom in on my editor a little bit just so you can see every code that I'm going to be writing. All right, so now that that is set up and then that my editor is more visible, so if I need to write any CSS code, I can just create a file in this folder. It's just, I'm just trying to make us stay organized so that, all the code will not be all over the place. All right, so uh, I'm using an extension in VS Code that allow me to run my code right from here. And the extension is called Live Server. If you check the extensions tab and then you search for Live Server, just like that, you're going to see it. I already installed mine, so that's all you need for now. And that allow me to actually launch the application on port 5500, which make your life a little easier, in running your code. All right. So the next thing I want to do here in my index.html, I kind of want to minimize the sidebar so that I'll be able to focus on the code. So let me minimize it now. So the first set of code you want to create for HTML file is the HTML boilerplate, which starts with, of course, HTML uses tags. Okay, let me put a comment here. HTML uses tag as syntax. All right, so let's say that way. Now, what is, like if you are not familiar with any programming language, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is everything that you can see on a web browser, like the images, text, and all kinds of things, form, tables, and all of that. All right, so to get started here, we're going to create the first tag, which is going to be exclamation mark, doc type it together, and then you say HTML, and I'm going to close it like this. And every tag in HTML has an opening and a closing tag. But with the exemption of this one is just to tell the browser that the document type is HTML. So the tag, the actual tag you're going to have to do is the HTML tag itself. And when you create a tag, you see my editor automatically closes it. So what it means is that this is the opening tag for the HTML tag, and the closing has to have a forward slash in front of it. So this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag. In here, I also want to specify or show that the language I'm going to be writing this in is going to be English. So I'm going to say lang. I'm going to set it to EN, short for English. So now there are two major components in our HTML tag. We have the head tag and the body tag. So I'm going to put that up, head, and like this, and then body tag, body, just like this. So now the interesting thing is that anytime you want to have a tag, you don't even need to write the bracket. You can just type the tag name. For example, head tag. It will there's an extension called Emmet. It comes with Visual Studio Code that allow you to do something like this. And then we're going to have the body tag just like that. So we have the head tag here, and then we have the body tag in this place. All right, so now that we have that, in the head tag, we have a couple of tags that's supposed to be there. One of those is the meta tag. So I'm going to just type meta, and in it has attribute char set equals to UTF minus 8, just like that. All right, so what does this mean? This is just to tell the browser that the way it should interpret this code is that this is a UTF minus 8 encoding. It's just like the way we understand the MP4, MP3 in music and all of that. So it's just a way to tell the browser this is how you're supposed to interpret this file. The next thing I want to have is the title. So the title is going to be the title of the site. So I can say, what can we call it now? Let's call it web design. So I might need to stop my server. The reason for that is because I was running the server in the root directory. So I need to make it recognize this setup and start running this code. So what I need to do with that is I'm going to maximize my editor and then stop this server. So if I click on this port, it's going to stop running the live server. So if I re-click it again, it's going to open it. It did open here. I'm going to copy that because I want it to be on the actual browser that I was using before. So you can see at the top here, you see that we have a web design. So what that means is that this title is the one that we are seeing up here, making our life easier. All right, so now everything that appears on the site goes in the body tag. Now, instead of me writing all of this manually, there is a short way to actually auto-generate it. So I'm going to get rid of all of this. And I'm going to do Shift 1, which is exclamation mark. If I press enter, you can see that everything we just did with the inclusion of an extra meta tag got generated. You can see the doc type HTML, HTML lang, EN, and all of those things. So all I need to just change is the what's it called, the title. I'm going to call it web design. Okay, let's just call it that, and that's that. Of course, anytime you want the new changes to appear, you need to save your file. But in in my own case, I already turned on autosave in my VS Code. So if you go to file here, instead of saving, I actually turned on autosave, which is this guy right here. So when you check this autosave, every new changes you make will automatically reflect on the browser without having to manually save it. That's what that does. All right, so there are a couple of tags that you will be interested in knowing in HTML, one of which is the heading tag. All right, so this one is header. This one is head tag, but this one that I'm about to show is heading tag, and it's H tag. So we have H1 to H6. So let's say H1, and if I press enter, it's going to wrap it with the tag symbols. which is the less than greater than thing. So we can say first h1 or first heading tag. Right, so this is okay. Now you can see automatically it got reflected on the browser. I can actually duplicate this and then change these guys. Let me change this to 2. You can see the 2 will now look smaller, and then let's say 3, 4. So you can see now that the heading 1 is the biggest, followed by heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, up to heading 6. But because of, it's just repetition, I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but that's just the idea. So it now depends on your preference, how big the title case you want to, in the use case, how big the title is going to be. That is what will determine which one you're going to use per time. All right, so I'm going to get rid of the rest of these guys because I only want one of them. All right, if you want to create a paragraph in HTML, it's just the p tag that you need. You can say this is a paragraph, okay? And you can see the way it looks, the way it renders on the browser. So this is showing that, the way by default, the way the browser renders heading tag and the paragraph tag are very different. So that's how that works. All right. Now there are a couple of simple styling that you can already apply to even these tags or this text that we already set. One of which is, let me just put something here also, just so we have a couple of texts. So let's say I want this THRS to be bolding. I can use a tag called B tag. So in the V tag, I'm going to cut this and put it in between the open and the close. And you can see the this became bold. I can also use mark. Okay, that is not coming by default. Mark like this, and then I'm going to pull this one in between the open and close. And you see that that became mark. Just like you're using a marker on your paper. Say you're reading and then you're trying to highlight some part of the text. So that's what that does. We can also use U for underline. And if I put this in here, it's going to underline the text. And look at that. Isn't that cool? All right. So there are a couple of other ones. I think we have also strong. So strong also boldings. It works like the bold, and that will also be bold. And then let me also put some other text, just so you see the difference. So you can see how all of these play out on the browser. So this is how we use some of these HTML syntax. So I'm going to also wrap the text so that it doesn't go and hide under some of my distance. So I'm going to go to view and I'm going to go to word wrap, and that wraps the text so that all the content will be showing as I'm explaining. All right. So the next thing I want to show you is how to create comment in HTML. So comment is a snippet of code that does not, reflect on the browser. It's just for documentation for you as a developer. All right. So to create comment is just the less than bracket. Okay. I think I made a mistake there. Less than bracket, exclamation mark, hyphen, hyphen, and of course, the closing is also hyphen, hyphen, uh, and then the greater than bracket. But you can auto generate this by pressing Control question mark. It does generate the bracket. So anything you type there will not reflect on the browser. So I'm going to talk about list in HTML. So we have different type of list in HTML. Number one, we have the ordered list. Number two, we have unordered list. Number three, we have definition list. All right, definition list. Now, how do we implement all of this? So for ordered list, as the tag, as the name depicts, the tag is OL. So you can imagine you want to make a list of items and you don't want, you actually want numbers behind them. So that is what we use ordered list for. So on ordered list, on the other hand, puts bullet at the back. So you need to have OL, and OL is short for ordered list. OL short for ordered list. We have UL also short for unordered list. And then we have LI, that is list item. Yeah, so that's basically all there is. So in the OL, I'm going to have the LI. So the LI, let me say the first that you can already see on the browser that we have one. And in here, I can also say maybe food. And let's say uh, clothing. Let's say housing. Let's say work requirement. Okay, I'm just typing some random stuff. But if you can look at this, you can see that they are numbered at the back. That is how OL work. If you want to create UL on the other and UL, that or unordered list, that's what I meant by UL. You just have to use the UL instead of OL, and it follows the same order. I'm going to say UL, and then I'm going to have my LI in it. So let's say uh, voice. Let's say girls. What else can we have here? Let's say um, spouse. All right, I'm just putting up some random stuff. But that's just basically how it works. You can see the ordered lists are like behind them are appended the numbering, so you don't have to do it manually. And the unordered list, UL, is the one with the bullet. The next one is the definition list. Okay, so let me put comments here. Did I put it here? Okay, definition list. So definition list is DL, definition list. And in that we have definition term, which is DT, definition term, and then DD, that's definition description, just like that. All right. So if you look at it, how do you create that? You can have DL, short for definition list. Then I'm going to have DT, which is definition term. So that's going to be like the term you want to define. So let's say Nigeria, for instance, because I'm from Nigeria, and then I can have this to be DD, and in here I can say Nigeria is going to be great again, something like that. All right, so that's just some text, and you can see the way HTML renders this on the browser. Shows the list. I mean, it shows the list, the definition term, and then the definition description. So that's how that goes. And let's say we want to have media files on the screen. Let's say I want to have image, video, audio. It is possible in HTML. So to do that, we are going to have for image img, img tag, img, just like that. So in the SRC, that's where you are going to pass the link to the image. And in here, I'm just going to go to maybe Excel and grab one of the images there because I don't want to load image directly in my what's it called now, in my project. I could do that, but of course, because of time, I don't want to waste a lot of time trying to do that. All right, so as soon as I did that, my browser refreshes and you can see the image loads up. So if this was in our code as well, we can also link to it and then we're going to have it loaded. In fact, let me actually bring out one of the images so that you will know how to use it, how to do it. Okay, let's see. I think pictures. Do I have some images here? Not quite sure. Okay, so let me take this one. Let me take this image here. I'm going to go back into the project folder. So in my image folder here, I'm going to paste it here. Let's just call it img1. It doesn't matter what you call it anyway. All right. So in my project, sorry about that. So in my project now, I now have image one. So I can duplicate this. I can duplicate this image that we have here, just so we have a second image. I'm going to show the browser as well shortly. All right, so the browser is still here. You can see we already have two images that are identical because I already duplicated this. I'm going to get rid of this link. So here's what we're going to do in this case. Now, I know that the image is inside the img folder, and the relationship here is very important. Currently, we are in the index.html file. So to navigate into the img folder, I'm going to say img because it's a folder slash then the name of the file with the extension. Otherwise, it won't show up. And you can see the image is so big. So you can see the image is so big, so wide. All right, so we can also control how that looks by also specifying the height and the width. But because I'm not sure of the dimension, I can simply specify only the height. I can do height, maybe 200. So now that I did height 200, the image became smaller. You can see how it is now on the browser. So that is how to bring in images. So let's say I want to bring in a video as well. So I could also do video just like this. And in the video, just the same way, if you are linking to it locally, but I don't want to load any image, any video from my local, I can go to Pexel. I'm going to maximize that so that I can switch to videos. And in the videos tab, because they have a lot of videos here, why am I not getting anything here? Oh, there are already videos. I just didn't notice. Okay, so this is already a video here. This is also a video. I can just, copy video address, just like that. I'm going to minimize this back and come back to my browser, just like we have it. And I'm going to paste the link. Sorry about that. I'm going to paste the link just like that. But despite the fact that I pasted the link, nothing seems to be showing yet. So, and the reason for that is because I need to specify controls, controls with S. So now that I specify controls, I think the video is taking some time to load originally. But if I didn't put controls, there's, in fact, it's not, yeah, it should show up, but there's no way to play it because there's no controls, there's no video control there. So the way to be able to play is to have controls. And once you specify controls, it's going to bring the play and all of those parameters that you need to play the video. And you can see the video is playing right here. And so basically that's how to put in video. If it was audio, is the same way. So I'm not going to demonstrate audio because I don't want to bring audio directly from my computer. All right, so that's that about that. So now let's talk about uh, creating tables in HTML. So to create a table, of course, if you maximize this, you're going to see that all of those content are already in the browser, making our life a lot easier. All right, so to bring out a table. So table is typically the regular table that we have in maybe Excel or all these other, document processing programs. All right. So if you have used Microsoft Word 2, you are familiar with table with rows and column already. On a website, tables are also properly and richly represented. So to create a table, to create one of those, you have to use the table tag. And in the table tag, we have the T head and then we have the T body. Now, both T head and T body are optional. You don't have to use them. But the reason we are using some of this is for software with people with visual impairment. If they are using those software on your site, it will actually, read that this is the head part of the table. It will just give them better user experience. So uh, that is what some of those things are for. All right. So the next thing I want to have here is TR, which is table row. In the table row here, I'm going to have some table heading, so which is going to be TH rather. So in the TH, let's say I want to have serial number, and then the next one, let's say product name, and then the last one product price. So that is fine. So in my T body, I'm going to have a TR here as well. So in the TR here, I'm going to have TD. So TD is short for table data. So I'm going to just put that here. TD short for table data. And then TH is for table heading. TH, sorry, TH for table heading, just like that. All right, so now that we have that, so any of these table data need to correspond with any of these items here, which are the heading. So for serial number, the first one, I'm going to make it 1. And then for the product name, let's just call it, let's say rice. All right. And I'm going to duplicate that, and the product price, let's just say $20. I'm going to duplicate the entire row so that I can have row 2. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate just like this. Now that I have that, of course, the ID of this has to change. Let's say bread, and then let's say this one is $200. And if you scroll down in the browser, you see that we actually have a table in here. So there are other cool things we can do to it, because currently the table doesn't have a border. So it pretty much doesn't really look like a table. So I'm going to have to say border here, and I'll set it to 1. You can set it to higher value, but it's just going to make the whole thing look ugly somehow. So this looks like a table now. You can even do align center here, align center. So and it's going to put the table in the center of the page. So if I open this up, you can see the table is now aligned in the center of the page. So that is how table works in HTML. And in fact, you can use table to even organize your code sometimes. Say for example, I want to put all of these images and videos inside a table for it to be more organized. I could actually create a table here. Table. In the table, I'm going to have a tr. So let's say th. Let's see heading. Sorry, I meant to type th. So th here, the first th. Let's say we call that one image 1. I'm going to duplicate that image 2. I'm going to say video 1. Video 1, just like that. And in here, I'm going to have a tr. So just like I said, you don't really have to use, you don't really have to use, what is it called? The T body, T heading is optional. All right. So in this case, I'm going to have TD 3 times. So in the TDs, let me just multi-select. So multi-select that I'm doing here is I'm holding down my control button and I'm clicking multiple places. So it gives you ability to actually have multiple instances. So in here, I'm going to cut the first image. I'm going to put in this one. I'm going to cut the second image, cut it here and put it here. And the video, I'm going to cut that as well and put it in the last TD. So you can see the 3 of them are now staying side by side. So and the simple reason for that, let me even maximize it. The simple reason for that is you can see image 1, image 2, and then video 1. I think there's a typo. You can see the three of them are staying inside, even though the three of them are bigger than each other. They're still staying side by side because they are now inside the table, right? So I think this is the duplicate one. So and you can see they're actually staying together on the same line. All right. So this is how all of those things works. All right. So uh, the next thing I want to show is how to actually create form in HTML. So to create form in HTML, I'm sure you are familiar or probably you have seen some online forms. Google Form is also there. So many forms that we can fill online. How do you create form in HTML? So form, just like table, we have form. I'm going to delete this action and whatever we have here. So inside here, uh, we're going to have label. So label is just like the title that is going to be attached to the form, to the input. So let's say I want to have first first name. Let me just say F name for this four, and then this one is going to be first name, and I'm going to have input, and input is also another tag for to show the input box. So, and then you can also specify the type by just pressing column. I want this one to be text. So I already set it to be text like this. And in this case, I'm going to say just the, what's it called? The form of the label must be the same with the ID of the input. All right, so I'm going to use the same thing for the name. Now, if you are using, let's say, PHP framework, you will need this name attributes to be able to process this in the backend. But of course, in this case, this is just HTML. And if you actually check the browser, you can see first name and you can see an input box. That's exactly how we create that in HTML. So, and I'm going to just be using this to demonstrate the different type of, inputs that we can have. So let's say I want to have last name. So I'm going to, since all of them are going to be the same, I'm going to say L name just for last name, and it's also going to be a text, and I'm going to call this one last name, just like that. So let's say I want to have an uh, email box. So email can also be email just like this, and the type in this case is going to be email, and of course the name and the ID is going to be email as well, and I'm going to change the text here to be email. And if you actually check my browser now, you see that we actually have the form and each of them are staying side by side, right? So one cool thing I can do here is to actually put them in a table, but I want to really simplify this tutorial. I don't want it to look too complex. So I don't want to put in a table so that it doesn't look overdone. So the same thing I did to the images here, putting them inside a table, you could actually do the same thing to the form. But of course, at the end of the day, you are going to be learning CSS. And so I find it pointless to be using table because it's old way to style a form in HTML. But of course, that is also a possibility. All right, so now that we have email, let's say we want to create a password. I'm going to duplicate this as well so that I don't have to manually write everything. So I'm going to, since all of these are going to be the same, I'm going to put password, and this is going to be password. So when you use the type email, it's a level of validation. It's going to make sure that you pass a valid email, like something at gmail.com or whatever at the back. Otherwise, it won't allow you to submit the form. If you are using password, it's already going to hide the text like a proper password because the type is set to a password. All right. If you want to say you want to people to be able to upload their images or files, you can also do that with form. So let's just say upload. Let's call this one upload. Okay, upload, upload. So and the type is not going to be upload, the type is going to be file. All right. So and if you look at this now, you can see choose file. If I click now, it opens my computer. It actually want me to, upload a file. So that's pretty much how that works. And what else can I do here? There are so many of them, all right? But of course, I'm just trying to really show you guys how this can be done. And also, let's say if you want people to be able to pick dates, let's say date, and I'm going to change this type to date. This is not the only type uh, that exists uh, in this area. So I'm going to say this one to be dates. Okay, so I think I'm making a mistake here. Why is the date just an input type? Okay, let's say date time. Okay, so date. Okay, so I think I misspelled the date. So you can see the date here, and you can see a proper calendar get popped up. That's how that is. We can also see, I think, time. Yes, time works. Yes, time works too. So if you look at this, it's actually asking you to select a time. So I can say, let's reverse this to date and have another column for time. So this is date, and I'm going to highlight this, duplicate this, and change this one to time. Time. So I'm going to change this to time. All right. So you can see we have time, we have date. You can even choose color and so many more. So you can see how beautiful this is. At the end of the day, you are going to have a button. And of course, you can select a type to be maybe submit. So that will allow you to submit the button. And we can say submit. So, and here you can see a submit button that will attempt to submit the form. So that is like an overview of some of the things you can do in HTML. However, this is not all there is to what you can do with HTML. So in the next tutorial, I just wanted to show in this one, just wanted to show the different HTML attribute and how you can set them up so quickly in your code editor. So, and I hope this is a good introduction to working with HTML in web design. In the next tutorial, I'm going to begin to show how you can use CSS to make this look beautiful, because currently as it doesn't look attractive. You can imagine going to a website and everything looks like this. You see that everything is all over the place. You don't want your site to look like this. You want it to be properly formatted, everything looking pretty. So that's exactly what we're going to focus on in the next tutorial. And probably at the end of that tutorial, we're going to actually end up with a proper project where you have a working project that you can already host on maybe GitHub, and then maybe push to a cloud environment like Netlify or Vercel. And I'm going to show you how to do some of those things as well in my tutorials. All right, so that would be it. If this is the first time you're coming to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, like my video, and share so that more people just like you can benefit from the tutorial, from the way I teach. So hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.